Hello everyone, Derek Johnson with Tatango.com. Today I'm going to be showing you an RCS Chatbot directory from Quartz. If you're not familiar with them, follow the video. I'll explain everything and how they're using RCS Chatbots to engage their fans. So first off, let's start with how do you get access to the RCS Chatbot directory? Well, first off, you have to have a Samsung device, usually a newer Samsung device. This one is the Galaxy S9. Beautiful device. And I am on at&t. So a few things. Android, because it's RCS, Samsung, and then at&t. The nice thing is, once you have all three of those, then when you essentially just open the phone up from, getting it from the store, you don't have to download anything, activate anything, turn on anything. When you click messages, you'll see in the very, very right-hand side, it says chatbots. And there you go. These are all the chatbots that are pre-installed on the phone. So really, a lot of screen real estate is going to chatbots. Another couple things here. In my conversations, I'm having conversations with brands a lot because that's my business, but most people would have conversations with friends and family here. So the chatbots would be intermixed in with your friends and family messaging, which is kind of cool. So, you could be chatting with your mom and then you realize it's her birthday and you could be like, oh, I need to, jump into 1-800-Flowers. So I just click on the message that I've already messaged 1-800-Flowers with to start chatting with them again. So that's really cool. If I click contacts, you'll see that actually my chatbots, which are my favorite chatbots, they are above my friends and family contacts. So again, Samsung, at&t giving a lot of real estate to chatbots. And then most importantly, if I click chatbots, you have all these chatbots from 1-800-Flowers, CNN, Express, Kroger, Walgreens, Warby Parker, some huge names that are already in the chatbot directory. So as I said, we're going to be looking at the Quartz chatbot. So I'm going to click this. And what's great about it, remember I said, if you're not familiar with Quartz, I'll explain what they do. Well, maybe a lot of people aren't familiar with Quartz. They're not maybe as familiar as like CNN or Fox News. But what's really interesting, instead of just jumping right into the chatbot experience, you see it says information about what Quartz is. And also, for a lot of these chatbots, it also tells you what you can expect from the chatbot experience. So let's look at it. Your guide to the new global economy, news, obsessions, and projects to help make your days easier and more interesting. Okay, so now I understand what Quartz is. Two things here. I can click add, and that automatically adds it to my chatbots, which I can access from the contacts here. So as you can see, Quartz is right there. And then you have the branding, which is really nice. So you have the logo, you have the color. Instead of a short code, it says correspondence by Quartz. So that's really nice. I can even click up in the right-hand corner. I can click settings. There's just a bunch of cool options rather than just kicking you right into a chatbot experience. And then you have terms and conditions at the bottom. So I'm going to click chat. And right off the bat, when I click chat, it fires off a message to Quartz with the word chat. And that essentially says, hey, Quartz, I'm trying to interact with you. So they're doing a little kind of back and forth here. What's interesting about this one is instead of requiring me to type, hi bot, I essentially just click that little thing and it creates the message for me. So tell me, is this what they call the beginning of a beautiful relationship? So instead of being like, yes, or you tell me and I have to type it in, this is a button that when I click it, it creates a message that then is sent automatically to Quartz. Okay, so you can see things are happening right now. Okay, very cool. So Quartz is using a GIF. This is a GIF, not a video, because a video you'd have to click to start. So this is a GIF. This is actually a pretty long GIF here. And I can actually click on it and expand and open it up. So a pretty long GIF that they're using, which is pretty cool. The reason that you can use a little longer GIF than normal is because they're pulling the information down from a host site rather than actually sending you the GIF file. So that's why this GIF, I think, is much longer than maybe you can send with MMS right now. So let's go through it. Here's how this works. I'm here to talk to you about news, work on projects, obsess over the day's curiosity, and hand you boxes of cereal. Sounds, oh, okay. That makes sense because it's part of the GIF. And then I click wow. Okay. So this is a little better representation of these buttons at the bottom, or chiclets. People call them all kinds of different things. Smart replies sometimes. You can see that there's actually 4 of them down here now. It was a little kind of confusing at the start because you see just one button. You're not even sure that you have to click that. It's a little more obvious when there's 4 that you can click them. So let's see. In the meantime, they're ready to get you started. Where to first? Let's see. I'm a big news fan, so I'm going to click news. And you can see how kind of snappy this is. It's really kind of cool. Okay, here's the latest. It's 30 months since the UK voted. And then it looks like, are they using this as a button? Okay, it's not a button. What they're using is an emoji pointing down to say, hey, here's the other stuff down here. What we're seeing a lot with RCS chatbots is, like Quartz, they're using the chatbot to eventually take the user to the mobile website or to the app. So when I click here, it takes me to the BBC with that specific article that I was interested in reading. They're not going to most likely put the whole article. Oh, actually, they're sending me a lot here. The whole article in the message, because that might be a little excessive. Okay, so they just keep sending me different articles that are interesting, and I can click on these. And then at the very bottom, it says next story or I'm done with news. Let's say next story. This one's kind of cool because this original one is kind of boring. There's no image, obviously. This one actually has an image now and the information that I can click the qz.com. So maybe the QZ Quartz, when it's on their website, they have images. And I can click on it. Sorry about that. I can click on it. And I'm going to the Quartz website. And then it's sending me a few articles each time that I do that. Any other news? Let's go keep chatting. Okay, really cool thing that just pulled up here. Really great use case for both news, and we've seen it with CNN, but also like retail, restaurants. This is a game changer, I think, for messaging in general, and something that even email marketing can't do. Look at that. I can scroll left to right, and essentially they call it a carousel. And you have not only the image, which you can click on, you have a title, you have a description, and then you have actually the link at the bottom. And they're all kind of packaged in this nice little package. So let's click on this one. Okay, so instead of, that's not a link actually, it's a smart reply. So when I click on it, it's sending, bring the Crayola to Quartz. So decision time, would you or would you not let us dye your hair purple? I'm gonna say not a chance. I don't even have that much hair. And you can see it's rendering the image from the host site. I'm clicking I see. You can see this is a pretty robust chatbot. So, they continue to chat with you and ask you different questions. Okay, that was interesting. That was So that was interesting. It was a button with an emoji, and when I clicked the button with the emoji, it actually sent the emojis, 3 of them, to Quartz, and they know to process those 3 emojis when they're in sequence and respond back with this. So they're using, this is not 2 images, this is 1 image. So they're using text, then the image, and I can click on the image and it expands it. Wow. And then I can click again. This is a button and it's a smart reply, and it's sending, if it were to say, you know, chat with me, I would click it, and then when I click chat with me, it would send chat with me to Quartz. They're using emojis here, so when I click it, it sends the emojis to Quartz. So you can see this is a extremely robust chatbot. I don't know if it will actually end, but you can see how consumers might be, man, it just continues to go. You know, if I'm sitting, you know, on the couch and I'm, you know, kind of absorbing all this information, I just keep clicking through and I keep looking at their information. And now they even have something, they have a color hue test. Let's click start. Okay, so this is going to a mobile website. And let's see, this is a color hue test. I'm not going to do it. But really cool. It's like, you know, don't go, and then it'll continue to chatbot. So this is a real true chatbot experience. Essentially, people are chatting all the time. You know, let's talk art. And you can see kind of how addicting this would be, is just continue to go through over and over again. Pretty cool experience. An interesting way to get your news, because unlike CNN, they had a nice chatbot where you would message back and say, I'm interested in sports. It would give you a couple sports options. You click it, you go to the mobile website. They're integrating a lot of kind of experiences and chatbot-like experiences into the news, and some of this isn't even news, it's more kind of educational. So really interesting way that Quartz is using this RCS chatbot experience for their customers. And it almost, from my perspective, it almost feels like this will never end. It just, there's so many different decision trees that it could go down, and you could just continue to learn and kind of absorb what's going on here. And they do a really nice job of, you know, kind of integrating things. You have view on Twitter. This is cool. You can click view all. So for a longer message, view all is a really interesting option, because instead of like taking up the whole message, you can click view all, and then it, you know, you could see, you could even read a book, you know, if you wanted to, if you want to put that many characters in. And then you have the view on Twitter with a really nice display here. So they're actually using the image that is on the left-hand side rather than on the top, which is normal. So, and it looks more kind of like a Twitter type experience. And I click view on Twitter, and then it would open up that Twitter message there. So as you can see, it keeps chatting with me. It's kind of cool, and I could see somebody spending a lot of time on this RCS chatbot. But unfortunately for us, we have to go because we got things to do and other RCS chatbots to look at. Again, that is a RCS chatbot experience demo from Quartz, and this is on a Samsung device on the at&t network. Again, if you go to the at&t store, you pick up a new Samsung like that, the Galaxy S9, it'll be automatically on the phone. You can use it day one, so pretty cool. If you have any questions, comments, feedback, let us know in the comments below. My name is Derek Johnson with Tatango.com, and again, this has been an RCS chatbot demo from Quartz.